All right, everybody. There's another episode of the UFO Archive. I'm going to jump right into this. Again, military.com. Doing a series here of captures of stuff that is put out there and taking a look at the context and the time when these things are posted. I don't make any claims as to the authenticity of these videos. Obviously, most UFO videos are going to be misidentified somethings, very likely to be explained in the future, or they're going to be computer graphics imagery, computer-generated imagery, whatever we want to define CGI as. They're going to be post-developed 3D models or some other kind of wizardry. In the old days, obviously, they did overlays on 8mm and all kinds of other stuff that's been since exposed. This one particularly could very well likely be CGI. It could be some kind of a psychological operation from the military. It's hard to tell, but my gut instinct, based on current 2020 developments, is that the so-called Black Triangle, or TR3B, which I'm not so certain are the same thing, but the Black Triangle, at least, is something that has been developed by our military behind the scenes. I'm not sure if it's actually anti-gravity or just simply has the ability to reduce its mass or somehow float. But let's get into this video. First thing I'm going to do is read what they write in the blurb on this one as a little introduction very quickly here. So let me scroll up to that. And here's what it says. This is from November 23rd, 2013, and it's posted by Flanker41 on military.com. It says it doesn't officially exist. It uses highly pressurized mercury accelerated by nuclear energy to produce a plasma that creates a field of anti-gravity around the ship. Conventional thrusters located at the tips of the craft allow it to perform all manner of rapid high-speed maneuvers along all three axes. Interestingly, the plasma generated also reduces radar signature significantly, so it'll be almost invisible on radar and remain undetected. This literally means that it can go to any country it likes without being detected by air traffic control and air defense systems. Not just or, and. So neither of them can detect this. Read more, and then they have a Wikipedia about the TR3 Black Manta, which I might pop over to at the end of this video. So let me show you this video here. Again, I find this to be one of the more intriguing ones that I've ever seen. So there you go. Now, you may want to know, I'm going to replay this here and comment about this very quickly, why I find this in any way interesting, because it obviously is a triangle with a very simple texture map on the bottom. This could be created in just about any 3D CGI program. But let me talk about this for a second and why this may actually be something legitimate, or at least something being put out there based on something legitimate. First of all, what you're seeing here, and I'm going to leave the audio off for this part. What you're seeing here is a very interesting view of these two objects. It's not the kind of view anybody who was trying to make some kind of an exposition of these devices for any kind of a public CGI. In other words, this isn't very impressive. Not only is it particularly degraded, but it's a weird arrangement. You have one on top of the other of the large triangles, and you have some sort of a small one either in the distance or launching out of one of them, like a drone. But these two devices, these two triangles, seem to be stacked, one slightly lighter than the other on top. And you'll notice that they are definitely out of focus, in and out of focus. And I think that's very interesting because, obviously, if you were doing psychological operations to try to make something look convincing, that's a great way to make it look like you are sniping in on a long-distance target or filming something covertly. And it could very well be that this was filmed covertly. In some of the videos we've seen in the past, this center portion up here, let me see if I can get a better frame grab real quick. There you go. The center portion that seems very lit up here in this triangle at the bottom, that is often seen to be almost blinking or flickering like a flame. And what they're describing in the bottom text goes along with that, and that is that it is some sort of a magnetically spun mercury or other heavy metal, and that this was developed many years ago. Well, whoever came up with this, whether it was invented or whether it came from some other place, but there is, by creating that kind of whirlwind, very high speed, high pressure metal, they are able to create some sort of a magnetic field or something else that allows things to go lightweight, if you will, lighter than air. The same kind of effect. And the thrusters on the corners here, I mean, this has been described by thousands of people. So this is really a direct contribution to the whole black triangle milieu of UFOs. And the way that they are working together here, I've seen another video, which I will also throw in the archive if I can find it, over Texas. Very, very similar. That is taken from a very high, it's taken from the ground, but I mean, it's a very high altitude maneuver between two triangles where they kind of dock and then they spin off. And they look identical to this. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was created by the same people about the same time, if it's CGI or if it's recorded. But definitely that capture shift and jumping around is due to some After Effects processing or simulation of that. What that drone was or whatever that left here is very interesting, that there was something that there it is, goes off screen right. It's either in the distance, another one of these things that is part of them, or it's like many other sightings where UFOs leave off some sort of a remote drone for observation. And the way that they also jump side to side like that, they go horizontal in the triangle, that works out, to match exactly what we're seeing in the current 2020 sighting from the military over the ocean of a black triangle that reportedly there's a photograph of. So, we haven't seen the photograph. We've seen some artist renditions of it, but the intelligence community in 2020 claims that there's a photograph from an F-18 of what you're looking at right here in real life. And that's big news in 2020. Back in 2013, that wasn't news. So we're looking at a video here on military.com, which is, a commercially set up U.S. military website. There's only 2 or 3 UFO videos on here. This is one of them. There's also some very interesting anecdotal UFO stories that I will try to find on the web and reproduce if I can, that talk about black triangles in Iraq, in both the original Gulf War and then the more modern George W. Bush Iraqi freedom, or whatever they called it. So, but where people who are on outposts in the desert saw these, exactly what you see here, silently zooming over the desert and over outposts. And that goes along with what's being described here in the text of these being undetectable by radar and being used for some sort of either observation or maybe moving small special operations in and out of theater. Something like this may only have the ability to carry its own weight, and it may almost be a demonstration device. This video could also be taken from a watercraft, and that could be why it had to be stabilized. That could be why it has all that shifting going on, because they had to stabilize it, because maybe they were on the bow of a ship filming this with a handheld camera in 2013, a smartphone, at a distance. We just don't know the context of it entirely, other than it is on this website, and it's one of a few on this website, and it's very interesting to me that something with so many different parameters would be on this website particularly. Why? And now let's just, I'll scroll to the end here, just if there's anything else. There's not really. It just kind of ends, as you see, with this leftmost ship making its way. Let's pop over here to Wikipedia real quick. I know you guys probably can't see a lot of this, but I'm going to show you. This obviously is what they call the Phoenix Lights Black Triangle. This is not really what we're talking about when we talk about black triangles. That's a delta shape, and that's the Phoenix Lights. That's almost a different kind of UFO entirely. I don't know why they always compile all these things together. The TR3 Black Manta is also totally different, I believe, and I don't know that this video is labeled properly. And I will have some videos from Hudson Valley and other places of TR3Bs. TR3B is reportedly a U.S. Army aircraft that is a hovering craft. It may use some of this technology, it may not. We simply don't know, but it has been seen in the Hudson Valley. It's been seen in other places, but it's possibly a special forces craft or an experimental aircraft that uses jet engines and then some sort of other technology once it gets airborne to cruise. Obviously, this article's factual accuracy is disputed because this is all very difficult. There's a lot of talk here on this Wikipedia page that they link to about the British sightings in the Ministry of Defense report, the Belgian wave, which is very interesting. If you haven't read about it, you definitely should. The Phoenix Light incident, which again is in a triangle shape in the sense that it's, two right angles, but it's in reality a delta shape, and it's probably made up of individual objects, whatever that was. The Southern Illinois incident, which is very interesting. That's a giant black triangle that floated over, and I mean giant, that floated over several towns and was followed by the police. But I think that might have been a lighter than air dirigible, and it was right near a military base. And then the Tinley Park lights, all stuff worth taking a look at yourself. If you take a look over here, you can see a photograph reportedly of a black triangle that was taken. I believe that's one of the Belgian wave photographs. I don't know if that's been debunked or not. It's hard to tell. They say things were debunked, but what does that actually mean? You don't know whether anything was actually debunked or whether something just is being shut down so that people don't talk about it. Anyway, there you go, and hopefully that shed a little bit of light on something that was put out there, and one day that may actually be a very important video that you saw. So add that to the archive. Thanks.